Alright, so hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today we're going to check out another kit gun chamber, and this time around it's going to be the Rattleguts. Now the first kit gun I decided to build with this, of course, uses the Rattleguts chamber, but it's also using the left tab grip and the ram flatter loader. This results in the weapon having high innate radiation, then slightly lower slash and puncture damage, and a little bit of impact as well. It also has very high 33% status chance, a pretty low 11% crit chance, and a below average 1.7 times crit multiplier. The reload time is acceptable, it's 1.7 seconds, so it's not the worst thing in the world, and since it is using the Rattleguts chamber, it is a fully automatic pistol that with this particular setup fires up to 5.17 rounds per second with really good accuracy. And finally, when I gilded the kit gun, which I decided to call the bolter pistol, and yes, I'm fully aware that bolter pistols are semi-automatic, not fully automatic, I added a V. Now, this was originally meant to be a full-on status setup, but the performance was pretty poor, so I ended up going with a hybrid build instead, where you add 3 forma, all of which are a V. And the mods I have here are Hornet Strike for damage, Barrel Diffusion for multi-shot, Lethal Torrent for fire rate and multi-shot, Prime Pistol Gambit for crit chance, Prime Target Tracker for crit damage, Ogre Pact for even more damage, and finally Pistol Pestilence and Jawed for corrosive damage and status chance. And the reason I ended up going with Ogre Pact instead of Prime Heated Charge is because it adds way too much heat damage and it would actually overpower corrosive and radiation, so when it comes to elemental procs it would proc mostly heat, which is not that great. Now the performance here is actually quite admirable, especially considering that I didn't take crit into account when I was building the kit gun, so we're using a hybrid setup on a weapon that has a suboptimal crit chance and crit multiplier. However, if you do want to put together your very own Rattlegut kit gun, I would very much recommend you take out some of the status and you put in a little bit more crit when you're assembling it. Because while this is good and it will take on pretty much everything the game can throw at you, it would have been so much better if it just had more crit chance and crit multiplier. Also, while the kill times are pretty good when it comes to the Grenier and the Infested when you're using corrosive, it's not that great versus the Corpus, so if you want to fight the Corpus, I would recommend you switch out the Jawed for Scorch so you get gas instead of corrosive. This actually ends up giving you a really cool combination that you can't usually get, and that is radiation and gas, which work really well together because the hostility from radiation makes enemies group up, which makes the gas clouds from gas far more effective. Now, there is a way to make this do an extraordinary amount of damage, and that's what I was testing to begin with, and that's to combine it with a condition overload glyph. Just look at this poor 145 level Eximus Napalm. This is why I originally built the kit gun the way I did, because on paper, if you do everything right, you could multiply your melee damage through condition overload by about 43 times or 70-ish times if you add the cold proc from Taxon, and that just sounded way too ridiculous to not try. And it works, it really does. You can actually multiply your melee damage by that much, but it is incredibly unreliable and very cumbersome to do. And that's why, in the end, I ended up going with a hybrid setup instead of just pure status, because I wanted the weapon to do enough damage on its own to take care of the vast majority of enemies, and if I run into something really beefy, I can just smack it with a glyph and instantly kill it. So in the end, the kit gun does work, and it can take care of most of the enemies the game can throw at you, but I still think it would have been better if I sacrificed a little bit of status and added a little bit more crit, though I don't think you want to push it too far towards crit, because then you're gonna make the status procs less reliable, and you won't really be able to do the whole glyph combo. And that's pretty much all I have to say about the bolter pistol, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.
Sons and daughters, by the heart of who we are, making peace to build a future, strong, united, working.